But there's something about, when you praise and you pray outdoor, you're praising outdoor, just like, it just seems more, I'm not to say anything, but it just seems like it's more meaningful. I mean, it should be meaningful in the building, but I don't know, it's just like one of those things when you're praising outside, in the nature, it just brings like this, you feel like closeness. And I felt like I was saying that, I was just thinking, I think that's how it should be as a Christian, that we exemplify, we announce to the world that, I have peace in my heart wherever I go. And I shouldn't be confined to a building to find peace, but peace should be everywhere, daily in our lives. I just kind of want to talk to you a little bit today. It's not like a sermon, but it's just one of those things where I just, over the week, it's like, what can I talk about at the picnic? Picnic is always usually like a real short one, and you have to concise everything. But I'll tell you, I'll share a little bit of what happened this week for me. It's the first time in I guess my life that I actually got identity theft on me. Yeah. So on Thursday, there's a reason why I share this. On Thursday, I get a phone call, and it's from my credit card, and they said, "Did you recently purchase $400 at Walmart?" I said, "No." "Did you recently purchase $800 at Dixie Pawn Shop?" I said, "No." "What about another $800 at so-and-so?" I said, "No." And I said, $400 at Toys R Us? I said, "No."
Oh, man.
Yeah. And then $80 at Texas Steakhouse. I had to think for a moment. $80. And I was like, "No." I was like, "No." And then she said, "Well, it's over $2,000, which was charged to my credit card." But luckily, they said, "Well, we thought that the spending behavior was kind of awkward, so we declined some of them. But the only thing that went through was Toys R Us, $400, and the Texas Steakhouse." So it's $480 that were charged into my credit card. And I said, "What you guys gonna do?" They said, "We'll try to dispute it. We'll try to work." So they're working on it right now. So on my credit, it's $580. I'm like, and when I heard that phone call, it's easy. I could have easily been upset. I could have easily gotten angry. I could easily have my day ruined, and it happened. Some of you, one of the things I love to do is to post pictures, post things on my Facebook of my sons and my daughters' achievements. But that could have easily made me angry, made me upset, made me discouraged, made me just say, "What a bad day." But then as I was sitting there and I was just reflecting, I was like, if in fact I do have to pay this $500, what's the big deal? Maybe it's going to some good use. Maybe this family needed some toys for their family, because maybe it was out of desperation that they needed something like this for their kids. I don't know. Maybe they were hungry and they wanted to get something at steak. Maybe they didn't have a steak for a while. But I thought to myself, there's no reason for me to get upset. There's no reason for me to fret over it, but just to trust in God. And it reminded me of this verse in Philippians 4:4. It says, "Rejoice in the Lord always." Rejoice in the Lord always. And as I was meditating over this verse, rejoice in the Lord always, the word always, when Paul's saying rejoice always, he's saying that you don't just rejoice in the Lord when things are good, when things are going your way, when everything seems like it's great, when everything seems like, your kids are doing well in school, your marriage is doing well, job is going good, all those different things, yeah, you should rejoice in it, but those are not just the only times that we should rejoice. And you and I know that we live in a world that there's a lot of suffering, there's a lot of pain, there's a lot of things that go on. So Paul specifically says to always rejoice no matter what. Always rejoice. Not just on special occasions, not just for different things, but in darkness as well as in trials, we ought to give rejoicing and be thankful. James 1:2-3 says, "Count it all joy, my brothers, when you face many trials of various kinds, knowing that the testing produces perseverance." Romans 5:3-4 says, "Not only that, but we rejoice in our sufferings, knowing that suffering produces endurance, endurance produces character, and character produces hope." You see, Paul says it. Who better person than to know about suffering than to Paul? And Paul says, look, through my suffering, through my experiences, I found out that when I was rejoiceful, when I was rejoicing, when I was joyful, it produced in my heart, it produces in me an endurance to keep moving on. It produced not just endurance, but it produced endurance that led to having a good character. Not just character, but ultimately what everybody wants, hope. To find hope. You see, lots of times when we are going through our difficult times, when we go through our suffering, what's the one thing that we lose? We tend to lose hope. We tend to lose hope in all things. We tend to say, all is lost, everything's lost, I can't move on. Why is this thing so difficult? No, we go through these sufferings, and we have to be joyful in it. Here's the thing. Paul says always be joyful, but there's a stipulation to it. Always rejoice in the Lord. That's the only way you're going to find joyfulness is in the Lord. All right. Circumstance is not going to bring you joyfulness. Right. If you go through a hard time, some things might bring you satisfaction temporarily, but it's not going to be a lasting rejoicefulness unless it's in the Lord. And how do you have rejoice in the Lord? Well, your life and your personal walk and your daily reading of the Word, praying must be consistent. You got to be walking in the Lord to find the joyfulness that He can produce only. So for me, going through that time on Thursday, and that's just a small thing. So if you guys would look at me, you see me smiling all the time. You see me smiling. You might feel like I have no troubles whatsoever in this world. That's far from it. I don't know if you noticed, but I got a lot of white hairs now. I've been growing a lot of white hairs. There's a lot of stress that goes on, especially with some of you know that being principal. Although our school only has like 45 kids, to be a pastor and to be a principal is very difficult. Just to give you some things, I had some parents come to me and say, "How can you be a pastor and not have compassion?" I know. I was like, it hurt my heart. I was like, man, I never got talked like that before. I had some parents who say, you're inconsiderate, you're mean, and because there's decisions where I have to make hard decisions. But in spite of all that, even though that brings a lot of stress to me, I know that my life is more on the show light, I guess. I know people will see me, and I cannot be down. I cannot be discouraged because I know that there's a certain thing that I need to project. Now, here's the thing. I'm not saying that to say I'm the greatest guy or whatever. That I'm not being transparent. No, I think that I'm in a place right now where I know that my life is totally dependent on the Lord, and that no matter what. And I see. Here's the thing. All the past things that I've dealt with in my own life has led me to this point where I am now. The death of my father, the death of my firstborn child. I don't know, some of you know that I had my firstborn child dead. Even dying of myself. And there's a lot of little things in my life that happened to where I am finally able to say, you know what? Even there's suffering, I know that there's joy in the Lord, and that's how I survive. That's how I manage. And I just want that to be an encouragement to you that you're going to go through your suffering. You're going to go through some type of problem, whatever you are going through right now, right this very moment. The only way you're going to be able to get out of this, the only way you're going to actually make it in this life, and that's what Paul says, that we need to press on, we need to continue to move on, we need to continue to look forward, don't look at the past. It's to put your faith and hope in the Lord. Because what that happens is, when you put your faith in the Lord, it produces joy. And then, on top of that, you got to do it always, no matter what. Every day, every moment. Just be joyful, no matter what comes your way. And I was thinking, what's the most worst thing that can happen in this life that will outweigh the love of Christ? There's nothing. There's nothing in this world that will ever outweigh the love of Christ He has for you. What Christ did for you and for us, for all of us, should give us that standing foundation to move forward even in our most difficult times. So rejoice in the Lord always, is what Paul says. And I hope that you take that, into heart. And please pray for, I say this too, to please pray for my dispute. It's an ongoing thing. Like I said, I never thought this would ever happen to you. You ever feel like this is never going to happen to me? But that actually happened. I was like, wow, that's crazy. That's really crazy. And all in a span of like in a couple of hours too. But yeah, thank the Lord that it could have been far a lot more worse. But it is where it is. But yeah, please pray for that. But I know that sometimes, I know that you guys have your own struggles too. To take time to pray to the Lord, to ask God to give you that joy. So be joyful always. And you guys know that song? Rejoice in the Lord always.
And again I say rejoice. Rejoice in the Lord always. And again I say rejoice. Rejoice, rejoice. And again I say rejoice. Rejoice, rejoice. And again I say rejoice. Rejoice in the Lord always. And again I say rejoice.
Yeah, so that's a lyrical song. We'll go ahead and close in a song. And while we close the song, I'll pass out the offering. Huh?